Howie and Boyd present Two Jews Kibitzing.
Oh, you're going to read emails?
Well, just as kind of a starter.
Okay, well, I started it, so first,
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. This is day 2.
Cheers.
Oh, we got a lot of drinks here. Happy day 2, or day 4, day 5, or 17 years from now. Oh, shit. I got to put on my mic. That'll work.
I went a little lower with mine so I wouldn't be so loud.
No. Dude, come on.
Okay.
Same spot. You were fine. The levels were good.
Okay.
All right. Beer?
L'chaim.
Shot. You came and wanted to talk about what today specifically?
Well,
wait, hold on. Welcome back to Howie and Boyd.
That's right. Welcome back.
First of all, two Jews kibitzing on break, and you're still upset. You might want to pull your hat down because I can see your eyes.
I'm not upset.
Okay.
I'm not upset. But we decided that one of our frequent topics would be different aspects of education.
Right.
And I was just, as we ended the semester, typically we tend to get a slew of emails from parents.
Always.
And I thought that would be a good general topic for us today.
The PPs, the point poachers.
Well, and here's what I'll start with. And I'll just read very brief parent email. Hello, Mr. Is there any way my child's grade could be rounded up? If he needs to submit any additional work, he can do it. Please let me know. Mm-hmm. And I just got to thinking about that. That's the only interaction that I have had with this parent the entire semester.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we want to try and communicate to the parents that we interact with, or the parents of our students that we don't interact with, is that there should have been emails, there should have been some sort of introduction, something prior.
Right, because we tell them through our grading program online, we update grades, most of us at least once a week, maybe at least every 2 weeks. And if you see your kid's grade is starting to slip, you need to have the conversation with your kid, first of all. But also, if you're curious with the teacher, you should email the teacher. If the first exam they did poorly on, the kid can't explain why they did poorly, come to you and email you and say, hey, how can I help my kid improve in your class? Not can you round my grade up at the end of the semester? Yeah. Bottom line is communication's key, not 1 week before the final or 1 week after the final. It's a continuous thing. And
I'm not asking for, a once a week type situation.
Please no once a week
over the
situation.
course of the semester, every parent, since, come on, we are so readily accessible in today's day and age. Every parent should reach out to their children's teachers once or twice over the course of the semester. And just to say, hello, I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so's mother or father, and please let me know if just to open up some form of communication.
I wouldn't say once or twice if your kid's doing well or if they're doing as you expect them to do, because I have 200 students, and so if it's twice per kid at least, that's 400 emails. So that's over the first half of the semester, 90-day semester. So we're talking 4 emails a day plus.
But it doesn't even have to be an email that we respond to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hey, I'm just checking in. You don't need to respond back to me. It's just.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Hey, listen. This is what Hey, I'm so and so's parent. This is what I'm doing to check on my kid. Let me know if there's more I can do. Like, hey, I'm checking online. They come home. I ask them what kind of homework they have. I'm making sure they're studying for tests. Okay, I get that. That should be in the parenting handbook.
Correct.
We should have a Howie and Boyd parenting handbook.
Yes.
We should do that.
Because otherwise they're absentee parents.
Yeah. We'll make a PDF. I'll make a PDF. I'll post it online. What?
I got stuck there.
Okay, so
I'm in brain lock.
All right, so let's go through what parents should do from the beginning of the year as far as parent contact. Number 1, you see your kid's schedule, right? Number 2, we have a back to school night, that's what it's called, right? Back to school night, the very beginning of the year. You need to come to that. I mentioned it before in the first episode. My lower end academic kids, their parents don't show up. The high end academic kids, their parents show up, but they already know what they need to do. That's why the kid's in those classes. So you need to come to back to school night, and you need to make contact with the teacher. You need to go through every one of your kids' classes online and see what's available. you should be signing your own rules or whatever the teacher hands out, the syllabus, because I get all sorts that are signed. Mine are signed electronically, and I know the kid signed it, and I'm not going to go through 200 of them. But when the parent emails and says, hey, we didn't know about this, I'll say, well, no, you signed this. And half the time they're like, oh my goodness, my kid signed it. Half the time they're like, they pretend they signed it because they don't want their kid to get in trouble. So, but go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
We started earlier. Are we going to get shut out by the garage?
We're just going to talk through it. I don't think they'll hear it. Oh, wait. It sounds like she's already here. My wife, elementary school teacher, is here. We're already filming Howie and Boyd Kibitzing.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. Well, I'm going to set it. All we do is mic check again.
Okay.
Parent communication, take 2.
Welcome back.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back after 5 minutes of breakage. So we're talking specifically in this episode about Communication.
But starting from the degree to which parents communicate with teachers, and then segueing into hopefully that influencing their students to do the same, to communicate with teachers.
Right. One problem I have is parent emails me, hey, my kid has a baseball game tomorrow. The coach doesn't email till the mornings. We get an email or a morning email from the coach that says, hey, kids know they have to make up the work. The kid knew 2 weeks in advance they have a test in my class on this day. Kid never told me. Parent emails, hey, they won't be for the test tomorrow. When can they make it up? That email should have come a week before. Hey, just to remind you, it should have really come from the student.
Correct.
But if it didn't, and the parent wants to go do that, no, you need to tell me in advance. I mean, I could have given the test in advance or at least prepared the kid while we were doing something else the day before. I could have, hey, can you do the first multiple choice section of the test first? You do the written portion when you come back. But they just assume this is okay, right? Same thing with vacations. You talked about that in the last episode, right?
We typically see, whether it's a 3-day weekend or whether it's a Thanksgiving break or winter break or spring break, we see too many students that bookend days. They'll miss a couple days prior to the break. They'll miss a couple days coming back.
Right, and a parent communication issue is is we need to know in advance. Like, first of all, it's a bad choice. Like you're making a decision for your student. You know that before breaks we often give a test because if it's a 2-week break, they have too much time to forget about the stuff we just
there needs to be closure of some sort.
Yeah, so we usually give a test either midweek or the end of the week. And you need to tell us in advance. And then the question becomes, like I just mentioned, students should communicate with you or parents should communicate with you. Who would you rather hear from in the vacation or extra time vacationing sort of?
I would rather hear from, first of all, I would rather it didn't happen.
Right.
Because I think it sends a message to the kids that, hey, you know what, school's not all that important.
Right.
And that's kind of where this whole topic, where I started at a couple of days ago before we are on air here, is that I think what we do is pretty important.
I would hope so.
We're dealing with your kids for the first 12 years of their, compulsory education. And I think that what we do is pretty important. And I think it's paramount that parents not only reach out and communicate with teachers, but they send that message to their students that, look, what's happening in the classroom is important.
Yeah. There's a cultural difference in that thing too, right?
Definitely.
We're just quick segue. We're gonna be all sorts of what's the word? Not PC.
Correct.
About these things. I mean, that's part of what we're doing. We're drinking, shooting the shit, and we're gonna talk about stuff. So if I have a student who is very into education, which are many groups of students, I would say the Caucasian kids' parents are the least.
It's the lowest priority for them.
Lowest priority. Like they want to make sure they get their golf trip out of the way before they do this. We had a kid who was on my kids on Bella's swim team, and really good swimmer, but got a B in a class. Parent pulled him right off the swim team because that was important, and the parent said that to the coach and said that to the teachers, and this is what we're going to focus on, and that's what we're doing. Which that doesn't happen. So communication in that regard is way high up. But there are also some other
usually
cultures.
Just the opposite will happen. If a kid's doing poorly and it's going to impact their extracurriculars, the parent will intervene to to basically
change classes.
To change classes,
right.
or to try and strong arm the teacher to raise the grade so the kid's eligible for extracurriculars.
Right. So there are parents out there, communication-wise, that know exactly what they're doing. You know, that's their priorities are correct. There's other groups that we might have a whole episode on this one, because we are gonna stereotype the shit out of some of those groups. I mean, some of those groups, every one of them wants to be a doctor. Some of those groups, their kid could do no wrong, and there's no way they cheated, especially if it's a boy in their family, an older boy. Mm-hmm. We have groups who parents will back you up 100%, but want every discipline to happen in the classroom. And then we have the Caucasian kids who, like we said, in our area, they've for some reason, I mean, there's obviously some really good ones, but we have the biggest issues with those groups.
And I'm just going to go back to
an email?
No, to bring up a different lack of communication on the parent's part. Let's see. Again, this is the first time I'm hearing from a parent on the day after the semester ends, and it says, "Good evening. I want to touch base with you." Well, thanks for waiting to touch base after the semester. Regarding my student, I noticed that my student had a 0, but I know that the assignment was turned in. Well, in this particular instance, the assignment was turned in late, and depending on the circumstances, there was no acceptable reason for it to be late.
Right.
So it was a 0.
I give 0s for
and
any
it
late
says,
work.
Then it says, "Would you give me an update on when that paper will be graded, and when the paper will be graded and grade reflected on the portal?"
Wow.
That's the first.
So how did you respond?
I didn't respond.
Because you're on vacation.
I didn't respond. What I did was I knew exactly the circumstances, and I gave the student half credit on the assignment, put it on the portal, and that was it.
Yeah.
But
you gave him half credit.
I did.
Wow.
But
now, was that for you?
Now.
Okay.
Let me.
Was it a battle picker? Was it a battle picker?
Let me explain. The final grades were already available on the portal.
Right.
This was going to impact the student's grade. It was a 5-point assignment. This was going to impact the student's grade by 0.1%. Mm-hmm. And the parent, had they looked at it and had they done the math, there was no reason for the email, because it wasn't going to have any bearing on the student's grade.
Right.
It wasn't going to change grade one way or the other.
But you still gave him half credit.
Sure.
Now, you couldn't have emailed back and said, "Hey, I put it in just to see how it affected the grade. It moved it 0.2%. Would you really want me to?"
Well, at this point, I'm just so turned off by the fact that this is their first effort to interact with me.
Right.
And only under those circumstances.
Right. I got an email. It must have been 4 different emails from the same student. And the parent was saying, "You need to email the teacher again. You need to email the teacher again." Well, my first reply was, "Come in and talk to me." My second reply was, "I replied already to come in and talk to me." Third reply, and I'm not joking, I forwarded both emails to him, or I actually copied and pasted both emails and said, "Hey, both these emails, I asked you to come in and talk to me after class, and that's all I needed to give you some sort of credit for this, because if you come and ask me, I'm going to give you credit. Like I said, I teach the low-level kids this year, so just come and talk to me and give you credit." Fourth email came, and I just said, "See 3 emails," or "See the other 3 emails." And the kid still never came and talked to me. And then the parent followed up with, "My kid has emailed you 4 times. And guess what I did? I took the last email and forwarded it to the parent and said, "And this is what I wrote all 4 times." And the kid still hasn't talked to me. Now
has the parent replied to
Finally, I got the parent email. And the parent was right in this case to have the student contact me, not the parent. But when it says go talk to your teacher, go talk to me about it, go see Mr. Boyd and see what you can do about it, come talk to me. Don't be afraid. I will do anything for these kids. I will give them partial credit. Even if my rule is, and I tell them all, you guys, homework assignments are 5 points. We go over them right after you turn them in, so we don't give you any credit, because you can sit there and fill them in while we do it. And I have had times in the past where in the very beginning they said, "No, you have to get partial credit." Then I got like 60% of the kids do the work. I said, "No partial credit." 90% of the kids do the work because they know they're not going to get partial credit. So yeah, and I finally stopped the kid. So 4 emails took a month. It was 1 a week for a month. And I finally stopped the kid after class and said, "Hey, weren't you supposed to talk to me about something?" He's like, "Oh, sorry."
Well, and again, it goes back to parents communicating with teachers, and parents even communicating with their own kids. That what are we trying to teach them? Avoidance?
Right. I mean, and we talked about last time, I'd rather have an email than a phone call
Well, let's just teach them some life skills.
Yes, the students need to come talk to me. I don't want the parents to talk to me, but the students, sure. The other thing is, in our program that we use online for grading, when you put in a 0, if you're going to change it, every time that parent gets an email, it says how many zeros they have. So we can't differentiate between a 0, like they didn't do it, versus a missing assignment versus an absent assignment. So finally, this kid, after I got, the parent had emailed me 3 times, and I said, please ask your student about our policy. A 0 is a 0 for homework, and that's how I left it. And I said, hey, if you have any other questions, talk to your student first. We can have a conference. So the kid finally came in and said, my mom won't stop asking about the zeros. I have 3 of them. I'm like, all right, is that all she wants? She doesn't care about your grade? She wants you to give her the zeros?
That's what I've noticed as well. I don't care that my kid's got a 52%
I just
in their
don't want the
class.
zeros.
I just see that 0 there.
So what I do, 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, or 3 times. I gave them 0.01 credit, which moved their grade less than 0.01. No more parent emails, no more student emails. It's like they just see the thing that says zeros. They're not going to dig any deeper. Dig deeper into your kid's grades. Figure out what the deal is. If your kid drops from an A to a C, it must have been a big assignment, right? and
I had the same thing, and I know we talked about this earlier, not on an episode, but it was a 5-point assignment, and I take that back. I think it was a 3 or 4 point assignment, just a quick sort of a quiz, and a kid got a 0 because they had answered all the questions incorrectly.
Right.
And you try to explain that in an email to a parent, and they can't process it.
Well, they probably came from my class where all they have to do is do it and they get credit to your class. And that's the other thing is the expectation jump of parents from middle school to high school. Middle school, my kid would come in and she'd say, Dad, can you quiz me on these 20 notes, for science? And I'm like, yeah, sure. How do you want me to quiz you? Like, you want me to check to see if you understand it or just read right off of there? I'm like, okay. How many questions on the test? 20? Oh, how many notes? 20? And they're used to that. They're like, hey, this is exactly what's in the test word for word. And then they get into my class and I ask them something about, okay, so you memorize what that is, but can you apply it to this situation? And they're just, And the parent is also, I don't get it. Like, I went through every one of their flashcards. I'm like, well, my flashcards are different than your things that you guys have. Mine are just like, I don't like to have them make flashcards, but all they do is go to the book and they take the bold words and they define them and they think they're going to do well on the test. It's like, no, that's a vocabulary quiz. That's not a test.
And that's the other thing with parents, these expectations that, well, gosh, they were an all-star when they were in middle school.
Well, everyone got a fucking trophy.
And understand that I guess we could use the analogy of like the game, the TV show Jeopardy. As you get from the $100 clues down to the $1,000, they get more difficult.
Yeah.
And by the time they're 9th graders into 10th grade, it's going to be a little more difficult and a little more difficult after their junior year and so forth. And it's just unrealistic to expect that they're going to just be automatic all-stars.
Yeah. Did you move your mic back down again?
No.
My problem is the farther away it is, the more echo you're going to get. Well, now, yeah.
He's always giving me shit.
No, I don't want to have to delete the echo.
Remember, I'm a bit of a loud talker.
I know, no kidding. Oh, but not a quiet talker. You're not going to draw me in.
I'm trying to.
All right, we need to have a couple more
monitor my volume.
All right, so what else is there in the parenting world? Or let's talk about student communication. Who should students communicate? What is it? You mentioned, I noticed in the last podcast, you mentioned a hierarchy. What do you call it when you're in the military? What's the chain of command, right? So what is the chain of command? Something happens in your class, academic or otherwise. What are the steps that student needs to do to communicate to whoever they need to communicate that issue to?
Well, I think almost regardless of the severity of the issue, is the student needs to, if they go home and they discuss something with their parent, then it should be incumbent upon the parent to tell the student, well, I want you to go talk to your teacher.
Yes.
I don't want you to send them an email.
Right.
I want you to go see them face to face. And if the parent's not comfortable with that, the parent should reach out to the teacher and should say, I have some concerns. I want to make sure that I've got the accurate story. And,
that is huge.
And
right
do you have time, to sit down and so we can resolve this matter?
Yeah.
And what too frequently happens is the kid goes home, the parent doesn't bother to check to determine if this is actually what has transpired, and they go immediately over the teacher's head to someone in administration.
Right. Well, and that's the biggest problem is in being a parent. I totally get it. You believe your kid first. No matter what happens, your kid comes home. They could have freaking punched Billy in the neck, and Billy's bleeding, and they got pictures and video, and they're like, "Oh no, that wasn't my kid." And it was my kid, but it was Billy's fault. And you need to get the whole story from the teacher first. We're not going to lie to the parent. Like we said in the last episode, we don't hate the kids. We hate the parents. But we're never going to lie about what happened in class. And I get that too much too. I get I caught your kid doing this. And no, they didn't. Well, yes, they did. I watched them. No, they have some sort of reason, but that's not what happened. Well, yes, that's what happened. And let's fix it. And let's have you teach your kid how to take responsibility for something. Like that student I caught cheating, 6 years ago in the hallway. At our school and every school, even high school, high academically achieving schools, there's cheating everywhere. I see it a lot in the hallways right before class. It could just be a simple homework assignment. They're copying stuff down. And they weren't in my class, but I came up to this group of students. They're all gathered. There's about 4 of them gathered around this one girl who had all of her answers open and it was more than just a homework assignment. It was some sort of project. And these 4 kids are just straight up copying it down.
And if we can link
Yes.
that, if we can link that to parent communication, what has transpired where we're at in the present day is that parents want to excuse their
From
children's
everything.
behavior
For everything.
rather than hold the kids accountable.
Right.
And I can only speak to my own upbringing that if it were me, my dad would have kicked the shit out of me at home.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
let things play out.
Yeah.
As opposed to try and...
Your dad, not our dad. You're older, I guess that's
true.
That's how you put it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little different because I think I was like the baby, right? Mm-hmm. And he held you more accountable, I think, and then wanted to be buddies with me.
Right.
So didn't really follow up on anything I did. I kind of got lazy, got a C in Spanish or a B or something like that. My wife will tell you, she makes fun of me because of it. But I think, he held you more to account than
Definitely.
I did. Of course, I think you were a little more of a goofball in school maybe than I was. Forget it. Okay, we're taking off topic. But anyway, what I saw was kids copying other kids' work in the hallway. That's fine. Maybe you're allowed to do that. It's group work. I go talk to the teacher, the tall guy. Hey, was this group work? No. He straight up said no. And I said, well, I walked right into this circle of people and I watched these 3. It was actually 3, not 4. These 3 kids copy this kid's work. He goes, okay. Got it. I'll write that down. We'll talk about it. And I even looked at the answers they were writing as they were doing it. They were word for word. He had a meeting after school with each individual kid. The first 3 kids that did the copying, all of them said, and one of them was the kids who they were copying's best friend, who apparently she had A in the class, super smart kid, and they were all copying her work, said, yes, she lets copy her work. And then that kid got a 0. Okay, you're good. Gave you a 0. Get your academic, whatever. We have contracts. Second kid, same thing. Third kid, same thing. Everyone's stories, all separate. They all said the same thing. The girl that allowed them to copy came in with her parents. I didn't let anybody copy anything. Parents freaked out. You guys are lying. That she didn't like. I said, well, her best friend said that she let them copy. I know that she didn't do any copying. That's not the point. It's a little slap on the wrist. You're going to get a bad grade on this assignment. You still have a strong A in the class. Parents said no. Something happened to their older kid in college. They were freaked out because they were kicked off the water polo team because he's the only one that admitted to drinking amongst the water polo kids. He got kicked off even though every one of them did it, but he's the only one that told the truth. So she is not going to say she allowed them to copy her stuff. And I just went, wow, that is incredible. So there was nothing was going to happen. She wanted to go to one of the academies, military academies, and well, if this was on a record, I said it's not. This is never on your record. This is not going on a transcript. But she still insisted, and I'm gonna, while I'm still talking, fill you up here, so we don't have to turn this thing off because we had some bad audio. If you go back and listen to our thing next time, I'll stand right here though. Hello. And I just think that that's one of those lessons the parent had to give the kid at that point. And that lesson was never given.
Well, and if we can kind of once again link that to our theme here, these parents that enable it, these parents that refuse to hold their kids accountable, at what point do you say to the kid, look, it's not okay? You know,
Right.
when you're a sophomore in high school, when you're a junior in high school, you got to start drawing the line, because when this kid's in college, when they cheat on something, it's not going to be open for debate.
No,
it's going to be,
done.
sorry, you're
out.
expelled.
Yeah. Yeah, it just keeps, I don't know. It's always something every year. And you know what it did to me? I just put my head down when I'm in the hallway and keep on walking, because I had nightmares about those parents. Those parents happened to swim also with my kids. I see them on the pool deck all the time. And I couldn't even make eye contact with them. And it was super awkward. And I don't want that. I had nightmares about it. Like, these parents are doing this and they're going to come after me for lying about their kid, when it was clear. And now we have cameras in the hallway, and I would have just been like, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
Zoom in, see what's going on. And so, but that's too bad, because I no longer hold kids accountable in the hallway for cheating. And you see it every day.
Every day.
Every day.
All right, I'm going to open up email number 3, and this will be the last one.
All right.
Let's see. Right here.
Dear Howie. Maybe
It
you should make the
says-
phone read it.
It says, my child and I would like to schedule a conference with you to go over his grade for this semester and what to expect for next semester.
What the?
Let me know when you're available. Well, this is after the child went home and told the parent that the final was much more difficult than the child had anticipated.
Was this your higher level class or your
No,
lower
this
level class?
is lower level.
Okay.
And this is, coincidentally, this parent had emailed me 3 days prior to that, telling me how much their child had enjoyed my class, how much they had learned. Thank you. And so now that was a quick about face, and I replied to the parent telling them how their child had done on the final, what their semester grade was, and I said, I'm available for a conference, here are the times. Well, the parent emails me back and says, I'm sorry, I'm working, I can't come to a conference, and they would wait until after the break. And I'm 98% sure that parent will never follow it up.
They always do that, right? It does. I get one of these at least once a year. Hey, I want a conference with you. This is what's going on with the grade. This is what's going on with you. And once I explain it, they realize, oh, he's not just going to change the grade because of that email. Like, it's a threat to coming to conference. I'm wide open. I'm there at 7 o'clock in the morning. We don't start till 8 o'clock. I'm there till after school. Let's have this conference.
And
we
this
could
is the
both
part
sit down
that
together.
I love, is that I'd like to schedule a conference to go over his grade for the semester, but then the second part, and what to expect for the second semester. You know what they can expect for the second semester? The same damn thing
Right.
that I did the first semester.
Yeah.
I will be extremely competent. I will be prepared. I will be on time. I will engage your kids. I will challenge your kids. That's what you can expect.
Right. And plus, when you look at the final exam, you look at the overall. It's not like if there's a D average on your final exam, you're going to curve that test, and you might even reteach it.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like we're not out to get your kid. And that's what a lot of them think. A lot of them think, hey, this is the teacher that's out to get the kids.
But then back to your point earlier, it's this expectation. Well, they didn't have history, and we might want to edit that out so that doesn't reveal.
What is going to reveal?
Because we don't offer it in ninth grade.
You didn't even say that. You didn't finish your thought.
I know.
It's good. I just like do dee lee.
Yeah.
Because we're on the.
But again, it's this expectation that, well, I saw them studying, and it's the old cliche. It's not the hours you put in; it's what you put in the hours.
What? I never heard.
Never
I've never
heard
heard
that?
that. So
It's
to
not
be
the hours-
wait, to be cliche, I have to know
They
that.
spent 6 hours studying for your final.
Staring
yeah,
at the
well, what
same
do they do?
note card like this.
Yeah,
So,
did they have a little massage
Right.
going or whatever while they were studying?
Right.
It's not the hours you put in; it's what you put in the hours.
Correct.
But
Okay,
then
I
again,
got
it's
it.
that expectation. Well, he studied, but it's not just a matter of pulling a chain and puking out
Right.
memorization.
Yep.
It's about, hey, here's a concept. Now here's the situation. Can you apply your understanding of that concept?
Which is high school versus middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to rip on middle school teachers, and in science we're doing a lot more of the hands-on sort of application stuff, but it really is a different expectation when you get to high school. And that's what the low classes are for some of those kids, is to give them a boost, some sort of scaffolding. So, hey, now you can do the real classes, because none of those kids in your low-level class they're getting B's or lower are moving on to an honors or AP or accelerated course.
They shouldn't be.
Well, they might, because they're, Jimmy's gift to the world, and we're in his world, and, it's his world, and we're living in it, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, we could wrap up the parenting.
Mm-hmm.
That was parenting communication, student communication, the hierarchy, which we kind of stopped at the hierarchy. Student has an issue in class with another student or the teacher, or chain of command. You can talk to your parent first, but then you come back and talk to the teacher. Really, if it's a student on student thing, which happens in classes too, have a conversation with the kid. Say, hey, you're bugging me, but I understand. We'll move your seat if that doesn't work. Talk to the teacher and we'll work something out. You don't go to an administrator first, because all that does, the teacher say, hey, you're not willing to work with me, so let's just let it figure itself out then.
Well, and like I said, it's just teaching avoidance.
Well, how about the parents that think they're so into the community that they're a super, Mr. Mayor or whatever, that they don't even go to your principal. They go right to the school board member that's their neighbor and say, this is what's happening. And then it trickles down to us somehow. And the school board at our school board's like, oh, fuck that teacher. We're going after them now. Don't skip the chain of command, or no one below in that chain will believe in you. No one's going to listen to you. They're just like, fuck you. You already went above my head. You figure it out. So
and again, you referenced it, that we're not there to fuck your kids.
No. Well, no teacher should be, because if they're there to fuck your kids, they should go to jail.
Screw over your kids.
That's what you meant. Yeah.
Even the worst teachers on campus are not vindictive and malicious in that regard. And
they might be towards parents, though.
Maybe towards parents, but towards the kids. And it's always, when the students say, oh, so-and-so hates me.
Yeah.
We don't hate you. Sometimes you bug us. Sometimes we disapprove of your decisions and the choices you make, but it's never a matter of us hating you.
No. And as Nancy Pelosi said, which bugged the shit out of me when she said it, but I don't hate anybody, or whatever she said, right?
She's a good Christian.
She's a good Catholic. I don't know. It's one and the same, I know. We can go through the whole thing. Being of the Hebe nation right here,
yes.
Of the He wagon. I don't hate anyone. Well, really? Because it seems to bother you a lot. But the word hate was too strong. But yeah, it's a terrible thing that teachers will say, and our parents will say, and students will say, that teacher hates me. Never happens. But chain of command.
It's not that it never, but very rarely.
Right.
Very rarely.
And really, once they go above so let's say they do go to you and you can't work it out. Then you do talk to, so we have academic advisors. I looked it up. It's a statewide wordage.
Terminology.
So yes,
Good.
I just did that this morning. It's mostly for colleges apparently, but and also they call them guidance counselors, other places, whatever.
Right.
So if you have a problem with the teacher and you've already tried to work it out, you go to your guidance counselor, and you know what they're going to say? Howie is an amazing teacher. We never get complaints like this. Let me talk to Howie and see, maybe we can all sit down together and have the correct conference, right? With your academic advisor and the student and the parent and the teacher.
Well, and
you never need to go to your administrator.
I'm just going to interject again, because often when the chain of command is jumped, that a parent will go to the academic advisor and say, I don't want you mentioning this to the teacher. What the fuck?
Right.
Well, then if you don't want to, then what was your purpose in reaching out to the academic advisor?
How are we going to fix this if it's not brought up to the teacher?
Oh, because they'll retaliate.
Yeah, you're just there to complain, and you think that there's a lot of complaints being built up, but really you're the only one complaining. If you're a GFT, we're going to take this.
And I got to jump on that real quick. When a parent jumps the chain of command and then says, there are lots of people in the community that really? Could we just eliminate that potential comment in the future?
It's just like something they put out there just to see if the shit sticks, right? But one of our former administrators, a very good Pi Gow player, I might say, if you're a GFT, a good fucking teacher is what she called us. You don't give complaints like this. They know when a complaint comes in about a teacher, and we have a whole episode building up about bad teachers, because we all have them at every high school, every elementary school. They all have them. If a complaint comes in about a GFT, then they're gonna say to you, "Really? explain everything, and we're going to have a conference, and then we're going to realize that you're really only, again, full circle here, taking your student's perspective. Like, you just completely believe your student and not your teacher, and you haven't even reached out to the teacher yet. So anyway, parents need to communicate better.
They do.
Apparently at least 2 times a semester to Howie's class. So his 400 emails, he'll respond immediately, even during breaks, as he has now. I've only had 1 parent email during the break, and it was to wish me happy holidays, because Boyd apparently is a very Jewy name. So like my wife with our last name, just since it's the holidays, quick story. First, she's in elementary school. First school she taught at, one of the teachers came in with all these glasses that were all green and red and said, Merry Christmas and all this stuff. And she went to my wife, Marie, and said, here you go, we got some for our Jewish friends too. And they were glasses with silver and blue and little presents on them, and like 3 little candles. And I was like, oh my, what? Didn't ask if she was Jewish, just assumed. I guess with her full name, it's very obvious, but whatever. Anyway, second day of Hanukkah, parents need to communicate better.
Indeed.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
All of our episodes can be seen on YouTube. Just search for Howie and Boyd, and heard on iTunes Podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and hopefully soon on iHeartRadio. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. Assumptions made in the dialogue, banter, conversation are not reflective of the position of any other entity than the hosts and or their guest. Our work is original. Similarities to previously published material is coincidental. All the content has not been inspired by nor is based on any other podcast, blog, magazine, article, nor any book, and therefore we regret the resemblance with any of the aforementioned and would like to assure you that it was unintentional. Moreover, we do not intend to be offensive towards anyone who listens to this podcast. If anything said can be perceived as hurtful to any community or person, we extend our sincere apologies, but that was not the purpose in broadcasting said podcast. Language and or topics discussed in this podcast may not be suitable for children, so please preview in advance of the family road trip.